Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Spin It Social Hour. Wow, well, I'm back. We're back. It's been about, a month and a half. We took a little break, reorganized a few things, and it is an absolute pleasure to be here with everyone. My name is Stephen Kaplan. I am the founder and creator of the Spin It Social Hour, which is a labor of love that was born out of care and concern during this pandemic to help our photographers around the world get their names and their work out there. And I have to tell you, this is the 48th show that we've done, and it's wonderful to be here again. And tonight we're going to have two very special photographers that I'm going to bring on. And I have to tell you, after spending many, many years at the New York Times as a photo editor, 20 years there in the New York Times wire service as a supervising photo editor, I've worked with the likes of the Pulitzer Prizes, and AARP, the Jackson Charitable Foundation. I also teach as an adjunct professor at FIT, the fundamentals of social media. And now I am a full-fledged live stream producer, producing shows for the likes of Martin Lindstrom and Marshall Goldsmith on the M&M Show. So it is an absolute pleasure to be here. But tonight, we are here to talk about two wonderful human beings and two great photographers. It was a pleasure meeting them. It's been a pleasure working with them over the past week or two, getting this together to show their work. So let's not wait any longer, and let's give them their just due with this opening that I curate every time we do a show. Here we go. Enjoy. In May, Brooklyn was treated to a photography exhibition of 11 digital images displayed on more than 500 Link NYC kiosks through the borough for a 2-week campaign called South Brooklyn Heroes. The project captures the faces, voices, and motivations of people who volunteered to help others during the year of the pandemic. It was both a celebration of and a thank you to ordinary people doing extraordinary things. The photographers behind the South Brooklyn Heroes project are Anna and Jordan Rathkopf, who work as a team to create visual narratives about personal journeys. The main themes and subjects of the Rathkopf's work are health, resilience, identity, and what it means to be part of a community. Together, they interviewed more than 150 people working with 18 different grassroots organizations to find out why it is essential for them to give back to their communities. We saw the absolute bravery and heroics of the people in the community who aren't getting paid to do this, Jordan told Brooklyneer. There's nothing in it for them other than just the need to help others. The result, Anna added, is a time capsule of inspiring people doing great things. Their project has recently been selected as a partner campaign for Smithsonian Institute's Vaccines and U.S. Initiative and will be featured in a Photoville exhibition in Brooklyn beginning June 24th. When Anna Rathkopf turned 37, though, she felt a lump on her breast. Nearly 10 days later, she was diagnosed with cancer. Since then, Anna and Jordan have been documenting her progress and experiences to raise awareness of the specific challenges younger people face with treatment for breast cancer. Folks, it is an absolute pleasure to bring on this delightful and wonderful couple and great photographers, Anna and Jordan Rathkopf from Brooklyn, New York. Hello, Anna and Jordan.
Hello.
How are you doing?
We're good. How are you?
Good. Thank you.
Doing just fine. I think it's been about 15 minutes since we last saw each other.
Yeah, maybe less.
Yeah.
Well, we're already getting a lot of people tuning in. We have Ronaldo tuning in from Brooklyn, actually. Jerry's here from Milford. Andrew Kavanaugh is here. Edward Leskin is here saying hello. So a lot of people tuning in already. And we are streaming, folks, to Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And we're also streaming for the first time to our two guests' Facebook pages. So no excuses, folks. You're here to learn the story and see the great work. You find it everywhere. It's there. So Anna and Jordan, I have to tell you, meeting you and going through your work, it was just the right time in life to be seeing this work because you've done so much great community work. I've told a lot in the narrative, but please tell us how you got started on all this great work and what it means to you personally.
Well, you can start.
Okay. Well, so
I love it.
I had a background in marketing and PR for social impact. So before becoming a full-time photographer, I used to work a lot on campaigns. And I just kind of one day decided I wanted to be the photographer. I didn't want to hire them. I wanted to be the one doing it. So I took the leap and, kind of always wanted to stay committed to social impact. And then, about 5 years ago now, Ani got diagnosed with breast cancer and just everything changed in an instant. Like our whole purpose to live, our purpose to work. And it really forced us to kind of refocus ourselves a little bit and think about what really mattered.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I have several friends who are battling very severe forms of cancer, and it touches everyone's lives. But, you two were also very, very special because it takes special photographers, even trained photojournalists, everything being, it takes very special photographers to want to also explore and explain and teach and share their journey and their battle with the rest of the world. And you've done that.
Yeah. We kind of felt that it was a missing piece. We never found anybody younger who did a photo essay on themselves. We also had at that time our son was 2.5. So it was like another added piece. And I don't know, it was just, we just wanted to do it. We just wanted to document it and show people that, because when you hear the word cancer, you feel like you're dead, right? Like, this is it. You're dying. Right. You will start vomiting because you have chemo, but there is still life. And we wanted to capture that because you're still alive, even though it sucks at that moment, but you're still here. And so I wanted to show it to other women and any other person, any other people who are having this problem, that this is still life.
So this is it's not a difficult question, but it's something I must ask. Who was the first one that thought, you're such a beautiful husband, Jordan. I've seen the photos and you're such a great guy. The support and the emotional support and everything else, tremendous in the photos I've seen. Who picked up the camera first to decide to start documenting this?
I think that was spontaneous.
Yeah, I wish I could say. I think I might have picked it up first, but it felt like it was us together. It's a blur, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
it was just kind of like, it's just, we got thrown into a world. You live your life a certain way, and the next day you're supposed to be an expert at medicine and health, and you're making literally life-changing decisions quickly. And so it's kind of a blur. I do remember, though, for myself, I first started taking images of her because I felt like I really saw her for the first time in a long time. Like I felt like it was just like, I was like, oh, wait a minute. You mean like I could lose her? And like, I wanted to hold on to her forever so bad. And so the camera for me was like a way to do that a little bit in the beginning. And then, I don't know, that was for me. And it just changed as we went along. Sometimes it helped me just get through the moment. Like chemotherapy, it was hard to be in the room with her the first time. And so a camera gave me something to do. Right. It gave me purpose in that room at the moment.
We have a lot of photos from that room.
Yeah, the first chemo was like 1,000 of photos. It was just like, I couldn't put the camera down because I just didn't want to be there, to be honest. Like I didn't want to be in that room. And so the camera helped me kind of find something in it that at least I felt could be useful.
It was almost probably, I'm sorry, Anna, it was, I'm just gonna say one thing and then I'm letting you guys tell your story tonight. I'm just curious. It was probably like almost meditative for you, right? I mean, it was almost, because I know myself, when I walk around taking pictures, it's like a meditation, a walking meditation for me. So I assume it played that same role for you, right?
Yeah, it's also weird is that, like, looking back on it now, it's almost like I remember the experience through the photos rather than living through it. It's like I was able to like crystallize, for myself, I was able to make the experience something that I could process in a way.
Right.
And it was only then when I started seeing the images Anna was taking that I saw a completely different version of what was happening. And it was kind of in seeing her images that I actually felt more some of the pain of what we were going through.
For me, it was definitely more of kind of putting your mind in a different set.
Mhm.
You know, when they say that creativity helps you to go through problems, that was when they tell you journal, that will help you. So for me, it was more like a journaling.
Right.
Anytime I would go to a doctor, I would start taking my camera with me. And immediately I started to put my head in a different space. It was a different zone. So instead of focusing on I'm going to get radioactive thing put in my blood so that they can see where my tumor is, I would be putting the camera there and thinking, oh, which angle and where can I put the camera so that I can take a selfie or self-portrait. And like, oh, this toilet looks very interesting. Let's take a picture of this toilet. I mean, and you're so lonely because even though Jordan was with me, my mother-in-law, my mom, I had so many people, but you're still so lonely because you're alone at the doctor's. Like, in a lot of places, you're all alone.
Yeah.
And yeah, I remember radiation room when they are like locking behind you these doors that are like this thick. It was very intense, and yeah. And then I saw through the lens Jordan. Actually, looking backwards, I more see like how the suffering in his eyes. So that was for me, like capturing him and our son together. And for me also, I kind of started to take a lot of self-portraits like this one.
Right.
Because I tried to understand my body, who was 2 years before I gave birth. So your body creates new life. Your breast feeds the baby, and it's incredible experience.
Right.
It's mind-blowing, really. And then 2 years later, the same breast that was feeding your baby is trying to kill you. And there's huge gap between how you understand like what is happening. How can I love myself because I am in this body? And the camera actually helped me. Even now, looking backwards to a lot of photos, I kind of go back to the feelings and I try to reconciliate myself with that. It's been 4 years, but yeah, I found that the photography definitely helped me to go through that. And still,
well, you know, it's and I'm sure it's also, and God bless you both for doing this, you know, because it also, I'm sure, has helped so many other people out there, you know, because when you think about it, the camera really was a gift in many ways, because your love for photography helped in so many ways, from what you're telling me, us, that it was a true gift to be able to have something else to release all that pent up energy and other things that are going on when you're going through such an ordeal, you know?
Yeah,
absolutely. You know, at a certain point, I think for myself, when the shock kind of started to like wear off a little bit and I was starting to accept the reality, that's when the marketing hat kind of clicked. And I was kind of like, okay, like this is also an opportunity for us to do something important, because you know, for Anna, we had she was 37 when she was diagnosed. She always ate organic. She's fit. She, no family history. We assumed she couldn't get it. And a few years prior, our friend, though, had been diagnosed. And by knowing that you could get it younger, knowing that you're not immune just because you don't have a family history, I think it helped Ani kind of encourage her to find the tumor herself, because most younger people actually, find the tumor themselves because they're too young to go for scans. And so that this literally we felt this could literally save lives, because maybe a person who's 36, 37 has a bump but assumes it's not cancer because I don't get cancer. Maybe they would come across something like this and it would make them kind of make that doctor's appointment and get it checked out. That was kind of the hope.
Yeah, no, I get it. And you know, like I said, I've had friends who are battling and have battled in many, many different ways. But the thing also is that, you know, this COVID situation has been so tragic, I'm sure. And in the long run, we'll only know how many people who skipped exams and other things, you know, heaven help us, that needed to go for these things, whether they were maybe scared to go because of COVID or they didn't go for other reasons, too far, who knows, with all this going on. We're hoping that, you know, that more cases don't rise in some people, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, unfortunately,
Unfortunately, I have been listening to a lot of shows like on NPR, and they're already talking about it.
Yeah.
And fortunately, they do see a rise in more dire.
Yeah, I've read my fair share of stories. That's why I brought that fact up
Yeah.
and everything. But you know, so a lot of different outlets picked up on this, and I guess, you know, it became such. You know, you have two great photographers who really are all about community to begin with, and who then go ahead and document this. I mean, they must have been lining up to want to be able to tell your story, you know?
Not really.
What I mean by lining up is that they know that their readers are going to, first of all, benefit from it by listening to your experience, learn so much from you guys. And the fact that you're so compassionate and, you know, have so much empathy for everything to share this. I mean, it is as personal as it gets, you know?
Yeah, no, I mean,
Yeah.
I definitely think it has value because, you know, I mean, part of why we wanted to keep working on this and actually try to do something with it is that, just in our humble opinion, so much of the existing marketing material that's out there is just not really getting it right from the patient's perspective. It's just,
right.
It seems like something that a team of marketing people thinks is what you would feel. You know, it just didn't ever feel real.
Right.
And, you know, there have been some amazing people documenting these issues. You know, one of them is Angel Merendino, Nancy Borwick. You know, there's a lot of people, but, you know, for the most part, what we found is that for whatever reason, there's a very kind of inauthentic feeling in a lot of the materials. And so we did feel like we had that. We felt we had a truly heartfelt experience that we thought people could connect with.
And also,
well, yeah.
For me, it's very important when I get reached out by people who are in the early stages of diagnosis or whose parents were diagnosed, and they just like send me messages, email me, and tell me how much they found out our story and how much that means to them. To see, it's like they can identify themselves, and it helps them in that moment because they feel, oh, she went through it. Right. This is like me, you know.
Right.
And
right.
I think that's super important to see that, and I'm always very happy.
But there was
go ahead, Jordan. No, please, you.
I can just say there is this weird thing I've experienced, is that a little bit of like, I don't want to say guilt, but like feeling weird putting your story out there a little bit too. Like it, you know, especially,
of course,
you know, is it like, are we capitalizing now on our own tragedy? You know, you go through these thoughts, and like, you know, that's been something that I didn't even expect so much, was just how I felt this real desire to get it out into the world to be helpful. But then I also started questioning my own.
I don't feel that way.
No, I know. Jordan was telling me that earlier today. Anna, why don't you expand on that a bit? Your thoughts about that?
I don't feel that way. I already got cancer. You know, I got that cancer card. So why not use it to just show it to other people?
Right.
I have been always very open. I have been. I'm actually Czech, as you can hear it. I'm not from America. So
beautiful Czech accent.
Thanks. I have been writing blog, and I was always very open. Since the day one I got it, I have been open about what just happened, how hard that is. And I think that's important, because and it doesn't mean like you get cancer. It doesn't mean when you're not open that you are not living through it. It just means you just don't feel that way. You cannot do it, but I can be open. I can put it out there, and it helps.
Well, yeah. And also, I mean, nobody, this is a given. Nobody is going to take the pictures that you see of yourself in your own personal way, right? I mean, of course, we have great photographers out there who will do phenomenal work on a subject like this and have. I could go down a list that would take an hour alone for the Spin It Social Hour. But the bottom line is that in this case, what you did goes beyond that in terms of intimacy and the personal investment made and everything else in doing this. I'm really, I'm always so thankful for photography being able to do that for so many people in different ways, you know?
Yeah, totally.
Completely.
So we've shown some of the imagery that you've done. So you sent me this earlier because we wanted to do a tight edit. We want to keep everything tight because we have a lot to go through. This photo, I had a choice between this one and the one that I showed on the Sloan Kettering site of you with the pink wig on, Anna. And I picked this one to put in the show here at this moment because it says it says everything that it can. You're documenting it, of course, but Jordan, you're back there and you're wiped out. I mean, I'm sure it took such a toll on both of you for quite a while, right?
Yeah, she snuck that one in on me. I didn't know it.
It was. They have these mirrors everywhere. I don't know why, but in a hospital in Memorial Sloan, they have those mirrors.
Sometimes we would just catch each other sneaking a photo, and we would just look at each other like, "Really? Come on!"
Yeah.
Oh wow! Huh? I wonder what. I want mirrors everywhere. That's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. I always found it very interesting for myself. Yeah. Like I almost felt it ironic. Like, oh, look at yourself.
Right.
That's my interpretation of what I seen. It's like, oh.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, it's really just and so I'm going to just ask one question here, which is basically just tell us about this moment and this image, because I've been looking at it all day. I had it in the intro. I had it here because I read a part of the narrative about this, but please tell us what you were thinking when you were taking this shot.
Yeah, this is when I was kind of after the chemo, the most intensive thing, because I had some more treatments, a lot of treatments, but it just feels like you're fading away, even though everybody tells you, oh, you're over it, like now the chemo's done and you're like, now you're on the good path. But you still feel like you're not there. Like, and your head is catching up. It takes actually years to digest stuff. And I just, I don't know. I always felt like I'm not there.
Right. Well, I mean, like I said, you documenting and capturing all of this of yourself and Jordan contributing too lends itself to a whole new perspective on listening, hearing about, listening and reading and learning about such an ordeal, which, knock on wood, which I just did, that hopefully other people won't have to go through. But I noticed it says on the right here, I just noticed this in the reflection. Were you at this isn't a ferry stop, is it?
It might be, actually. I think it's at the Governor's Island. Is that possible?
Oh, okay. Okay, the Governor's Island, because this didn't look like Staten Island.
No, it's not Staten. It's the small one.
Right, the New York City ferry. Yeah. Right. I just noticed that in the lettering in the That's one thing I love about reflections is you always find something else in them, right, Jordan and Nana?
Yeah, absolutely,
completely.
Yeah, reflection photos.
Absolutely. I looked at this afternoon and then put it in the slideshow. And the first thing I thought of when I saw it was gloomy days turn to sunny days. And
you know what day this is? This is her last chemo treatment.
Yeah.
So, the fact that she's carrying an umbrella with daisies on it and she's standing there in the rain with that peaceful look on your face. Wow. So this was that day. Anna, tell us about this moment. Tell us about this photo, if you would.
It's the umbrellas, actually, my mother-in-law's. She never carry umbrellas, so she always gives me one.
And my mother is a breast cancer survivor too. So.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. So she was really, she was there for us during all this.
So this was, I still didn't feel at that moment that I'm done with the treatment, because I had radiation and biological treatment. So that was all I had. But yeah, it felt kind of good, because I had my chemo was weekly, and it definitely takes a toll. And then you feel like, now I'm done with that weekly visit.
Oh man, I tell you, I let's see. Edward says here, an amazing image. The world is surrounding you, and the dark spikes in front, menacing and painful, and self-contemplation about an incredible personal battle in the reflections. He was talking about the previous photo. Edward was referring. Let's leave that comment up for a second, just so I can show the photo that Edward was referring to when he's talking about the spikes in front and the contemplation. Edward's an incredible photographer with a real incredible way of words. So thank you, Edward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's see some other comments here. Tim Sohn from Pennsylvania says, shout out to all the cancer survivors. It's National Cancer Survivor Month. And Tim is one of my dearest friends and best friends. And he has been battling leukemia for years, and he's a great guy with great will and a wonderful, wonderful human being. So thank you, Tim. Thank you. Any other comments that we need to show, Jonathan? My man behind. Okay. So we're going to move on here. And, thank you so much, first of all, for sharing all of that with us. And, but before we go on, I'm so sorry. I put together so much stuff here for tonight. Let's show this video that we have from the Coleman Foundation, the Susan Komen Foundation, that they put together using some of your work and also drawing attention to the matter. So let me do that right now. So we're going to do that. Sorry for a second. It was queued up. Okay. Pardon me, a little minor technical glitch here for a second. We have to stop. We have to share the screen. Okay, here we go. All right. Wow, that is a extremely powerful video. So tell us before we move on, because sorry about that. Hold on a second. We wanted to expand on that. Tell us about the Susan Komen Foundation, please, and tell us about how you worked with them on this.
Yeah, so Susan Komen Foundation, they're one of the largest nonprofits working in the space for breast cancer, and they actually found us during COVID. Yeah. I guess from one of the articles that was published, they had a new campaign coming up, and they were originally going to hire photographers to go out into the field and document stories, and then COVID kind of threw a wrench in all those plans, and so they really needed to find existing work that they felt embodied the campaign that they wanted to work on, and so. The creative director actually contacted us. She had seen the work, and it just moved really quickly, and it's just been a fabulous partnership. They really, they've been wonderful partners.
Yeah.
And one of the, I want to mention one thing in that video. Some of the photographs are also from our now friend Angelo Marandino. Sadly, his wife passed from breast cancer 10 years ago, and I also I wanted to mention that as a little bit of a tribute to her, but also, check out Angela's work, because Angela, for me personally, was one of the people that really helped me emotionally early on in her diagnosis, because I saw a project he did documenting his wife, and it was heartbreaking, but I just connected on such an emotional level. It was one of the only people I felt like could understand what I was going through and was willing to talk about it in some way.
Right.
So, I just wanted to mention that.
No, thank you for sharing that. And, everybody can find Angelo right here on the bottom here at angelomerendino.com. And he has / my wife's fight with breast cancer. May she rest in peace forevermore. And Angelo, our condolences. And also his IG handle at Angelo Merendino. Please check out Angelo's work and learn about everything that him and his family went through to help educate others, and also show him your understanding and compassion for the work and stuff that he's done. So thank you for sharing that very much. And, please also, everybody, check on the Susan G. Komen Foundation at Komen.org, and on IG at Susan Komen, so you can learn more about that wonderful organization that does so much for so many. Okay, so thank you very much on that, guys.
Thank you.
No, absolutely. So we're going to move on to some of your other work now, and I wanted to go back to that, and let's talk about something that inspired you beyond belief. So first, Tim says, remember hosting a Susan G. Komen fundraiser when I worked at a newspaper in NJ. Such an important organization. Thank you for this powerful video. Thank you, Tim. Thank you.
Okay.
So you went into we all went into this pandemic, and we're dealing with something that this generation and a few previous have not dealt with in ages. And you decided to document and create South Brooklyn Heroes. Tell us all about this. Tell us about how it turned into a campaign, and tell us about how you poured every ounce of your energy into this.
Yeah,
that was
because I saw the photos, and you guys poured a lot of energy into this.
We did,
and it was tough. This one was a tough one because, I'll just tell the whole context.
Yeah.
So, we're based in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn, so it's in Southern Brooklyn or South Brooklyn, and I'll be frank. We've had some issues with our community. I mean, there's been a lot of anti-immigrant rhetoric. There's been a lot of racism. There's been a lot of issues we've dealt with in our neighborhood, and as a lifelong New Yorker, I actually didn't often feel like I was in communities that were anti-immigrant, or at least pockets of people that were in some way anti-immigrant. And I'm married to a woman who's from a different country, and my son is a half Czech. So, it felt personal. And so when this was happening, very early on, what we were seeing was incredible activism from people in our network. Many of them were immigrants or first generation, who really jumped in and risked their own lives early on when, the world was celebrating doctors and nurses. And trust us, we know that doctors and nurses are absolute heroes, from our experience. But what we felt was kind of not being focused on was this aspect of the everyday person, these networks of everyday people that really had nothing to gain. I don't mean that doctors have anything to gain, but there was no, you don't make a salary off of volunteering. And so that was kind of what interested me personally in the beginning, because I was too scared to even leave my house sometimes. And I then just see all these people who are literally, before they knew it was kind of, maybe you'd be okay if you had masks on and were social distance. They threw themselves into it, not getting paid and not being recognized, not even getting a thank you for what they were doing from anybody. And so, and this started back when unemployment wasn't making it into people's bank accounts. There was all this bureaucratic problems.
Yep.
And so people like this literally had to step in and save lives at that time, because people were home ridden and they had no access to money because they were shut out.
And we have to also talk about undocumented immigrants that New York City has a lot, and those are super hardworking people that work 2 or 3 jobs, and their jobs were completely wiped out, and they had absolutely no access to any governmental help. So those people were in dire need, and I believe that the lines for food in New York City are still here.
So when we started doing it, the goal for us was we just wanted to be able to like create a time capsule, because just we felt this was a historic moment, and what we saw happening, we felt had to be recorded, because just for time's sake, like 100 years from now, when people look back on this pandemic, I wanted documentation of this, because I wasn't seeing it. And then the other main reason was we wanted to provide them with high quality assets that they could use if media was interested in there. Because, you know, from my background working in marketing and PR, I experienced firsthand losing a story because you didn't have a single strong image. Media just would kind of be like, oh, you don't have any good images, I don't think we'll run it then, because and I've seen that like torpedo a good cause. And so I felt really strongly like these are people who are working with mostly grassroots organizations who won't have any budget or any access to getting good quality images. So maybe we can give that to them to use for their efforts.
And it did help.
And it did help from what they've told us. So, you know.
So when you do a project like this, were friends calling you and telling you about some of these groups that were doing things? Did you research it yourself? Did you walk the streets looking for groups doing this work? How did you go about it?
It started really simply. Our friend, she's a widow. She had 2 ex-husbands who she lost both to cancer. And so she had 2 children, and she called me one day and she's like, Jordan, you know, I'm worried about my kids. If I get sick, I don't know what's going to happen. The next week I see her on Facebook delivering food, packing boxes. And I was like, oh my God, if Devin's going to put her neck out there, and, what am I doing at home? So I went out, and this is actually Devin's group. So this is not Devin, but this was the first group that we worked with.
Okay.
And so we worked with them, and it just kind of organically happened from there, because what we found is that they were all networked together in some ways, because there was not like a greater infrastructural system in place. These groups had to support each other. Like drivers from one part of Brooklyn had to coordinate with food packagers in another part in order to keep things running smoothly. And so it was really remarkable to like witness. I mean, these people just were absolute lifesavers. I don't know how else to say it. I mean,
it goes back to Anna. It goes back to the fact that, they saw a need to do something to help their communities. I mean, this surge in New York, at first was just horrifying. As it was in LA for a period and other places. It was traumatic to see those freezer trucks. It reminded me of September 11th when the big medical ship came in, because of what happened. And,
the images around that time, by the way. So this is from around that exact period when the boat was like going to harbor here. And this was in Sunset Park, which at that time was one of the hardest hit neighborhoods because of all the essential workers that they had that weren't able to get any kind of unemployment money. And so they literally had to continue working, but then they also had to like go back home and
live in very crowded apartments.
Live in smallish apartments. And so, it really was remarkable what the volunteers were accomplishing with.
I've done work with a wonderful woman. I have to mention this because it's right on point with what we're talking about here. So I put it right there at the bottom for a second. Everybody should check out Epicenternyc.com, which is run by a wonderful, wonderful professional media professional named Mitra Kalita. Mitra is amazing, and she's founded Epicenter NYC, co-founder of URL Media, and they are a grassroots organization. The reason I'm mentioning this is that they've been doing a lot of things, everything COVID related, to help the community in Queens. And, the same thing was going on in Brooklyn too. It was tragic, It
was tragic.
It was really scary because we didn't know what will happen, right? Like the whole city was all of a sudden quiet. Nobody was outside, and the only people outside were people standing in line for food. Right.
And so a lot of the problems when things like this happen, not that a pandemic has happened before in ages, but when things do happen with emergencies, whatever it is in society, or other nations even. The problem is always coordinating everything, as we know. And too much stuff gets sent to one place that they don't even need some of that stuff, because what they need are other things. What did you find when you were documenting all this in terms of how that went down?
That they were amazing, that they were using social media in like the best way possible.
Yeah.
And that's when the social media really hits in. And I actually found out, maybe because they were from the community,
Right.
also had flyers outside. People were calling them, asking them for certain things.
Right.
So that was
that's where social media, that's why when people, rip social media, I'm like, okay, that's fine. You can rip it all you want. But the bottom line is that, could you imagine having gone through this pandemic without the digital age that we're in?
No.
It would have been devastating. It would have been devastating. I mean, it opened up so many avenues for so many people to communicate and be able to do great things like these volunteers did. And bless them all for all the incredible, brave work they did, because they are heroes. They are going out there every day, risking their lives so everybody else can get fed and clothed and everything else.
And I want to mention that this woman is Fabiola, a wonderful person, and she actually got very ill with COVID during the process of volunteering, to the point at which she was hospitalized.
Oh boy!
And still experiences some issues.
She's the long hauler.
They call them the long haulers. Yeah.
Yes, has some long haul effects. So, like,
is she okay? Is she okay?
Last we spoke to her, which was a few months ago, she was still in some pain, but she was okay. She was hitting the ground as soon as she possibly could. I mean, and she had a 14-year-old son, and he was, when she was in the hospital, obviously home terrified. It's like, it's been a very traumatic period. And one thing with this project, it's like we wanted to honor these people, but without glossing over the realities of why this was partially so tragic, which is, in my humble opinion, because there were a lot of people that were failed by government systems. Truthfully, I mean, that's the reality. And so, these people stepped in. I mean, this is Whitney. She raised $300,000.
$300,000. Wow.
Yeah, she's been like, I mean, and she didn't have a background in food distribution. She's been political and things like that. But like, she's, a youngish person, and like, she just every day was doing this, like, just unbelievable.
Wow. That's just amazing. Thank you, Whitney, for doing all that. Thank you so much. And thank you guys for documenting all these, heroic acts by all of these volunteers. In fact, let's take a moment here. I'm going to take this off, and let's show a little clip from an audio clip that we have that we're going to share with everybody. And it'll give you a sense of who at least one of these people are via audio. And let's check that out. This is Josh.
Like I told you weeks ago, I thought I was going to die of this because I was scared. I was living in fear. And so far, I'm healthy, thank God. And I said, you know what? I'm healthy all this time. Let me go out, use my energy, and go try to help people.
Wow.
Josh is a great guy. Josh was awesome. He's also a runner, and so he was running to volunteer, like literally running with bags. But I guess something we kind of glossed over was that we also really wanted to record their voices of the people as much as possible. It was tough. You had to keep distance. You didn't want to. The most important, we didn't want to get anyone sick, or interfere with what they were doing. So, but for the most part, we wanted to record as much as possible, partially for that time capsule piece. Also, because I just think when you hear the voice of a person, it just also kind of brings it to life in a very different way. Less so maybe with Josh, but there were certain women, like Muslim women, for instance, who I think that, like, in our neighborhood, people would look up a Muslim woman and just based on what they see, think they know everything about that person, right? Like they have their whole idea about that person's identity. And we wanted that person to have the opportunity to speak for themselves, to
Right.
not just be a subject that someone could just like make their.
And I also wanted to add that for us, it was very important to help us to get through the pandemic, actually being surrounded by these amazing people and seeing, because you saw so much division. You heard it on the street. You felt like you're surrounded by hate and I don't know how to say that, but suddenly you are surrounded by people who are actually helping other people and who are breaking stereotypes. As Jordan said, there were a lot of women leaders,
Right.
and a lot of them were Muslim, very traditional Muslim families, and still the women, like I met a girl and she is in full niqab, so you can see only her eyes. So for a lot of people, she's labeled, right?
Mhm.
And then she's actually raising money and bringing food to other families.
Right.
And this is super important.
Well, that's why one of the things I was doing, if my eyes looked a little distracted for a second, there's a method to my madness all the time. I wanted to show this and load this in there because this. Let's take that off for a second, Jonathan. Thank you. This is one of the posters that you did, photos that you did that went into one of these campaigns, and this is Sabia and Sahana, sisters who raised over $40,000 to provide food to support their neighbors in Kensington. And I am so absolutely sick and tired of all of this anti-Muslim and everything else rhetoric that, I'm going to speak out on it. I'm done. Done.
I'm so glad you brought this one up because so Shahana's actually she's running for city council now.
Good for her.
In Brooklyn, and this took place in Kensington. And so Kensington actually is the site of where the Photoville exhibition will be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Project, which is going to open next week, June 25th.
Okay.
And what's kind of cool about the Photoville version of this project is it only focuses on people from that neighborhood. So people that weren't even in the link thing, but it also has the quotes from the people in their native language and in English, which I think is really wonderful because in that community now it's an opportunity. And this was what we always hoped would happen with the work,
right?
That people in the communities could see that they're seen, that they're respected, that they're appreciated, and that they were, we just wanted it to be something that was like for the people, really.
And I want little kids to go and see possible themselves.
Yeah.
To see, oh, look, that could be my aunt. That could be my mom.
Right. Absolutely. That's what I say to people all the time. I'm like, you know what? Do me a favor, stop already, because that could be anybody's mom or sister or anybody that, we're all, this country, the anti-rhetoric, all that stuff, it's got to go. It's got to stop. So I'm so thankful that you included so many. I mean, you did such a wonderful, everybody will visit your website and see a lot more, but you did such a wonderful job of capturing so many different communities. You get such a feel for the warmth and the beauty and the compassion from all of these wonderful human beings, and we thank them all. We thank them all.
Yeah, we do. They're amazing.
Yeah. So we're going to segue talking about what we did into the belly of the beast, as they say. With all of this anti-rhetoric and everything else, and we're going to talk about something that's coming up that you guys are going to be a part of. At the Brooklyn Museum. Tell us about that, please, and tell us about what's going on. Yeah,
so this image is one of a few that is going to be included in an upcoming on Juneteenth, this Saturday, a new outdoor exhibition with the Center for Brooklyn History, which is now part of the Brooklyn, and part of the Brooklyn Public Library system.
Okay,
and so they're basically doing an exhibition on the history of Black resistance in the borough of Brooklyn. Yeah. So they have assets from the 1600s on till present day. And so for this new program that they're doing, they actually started adding to their collection, their permanent collection, images from this past year, because it's an opportunity they feel to kind of show history in the making. And so they actually just, took I think 25 of
Yeah.
our images into the permanent, and then this is one of 2 that they're actually going to have in the banners with the library system and the Center for Brooklyn History. And this took place. This particular image took place in Bay Ridge, outside the 68th precinct. It was soon after George Floyd's memorial.
Yeah, sure.
And they did a All Lives Matter. Bay Ridge decided we have to do an All Lives Matter protest, and people were wearing Nazi stuff, and it felt very much like a Nazi rally, more so than like a true All Lives Matter thing. And so people came to oppose that, and so you just found yourself in a situation where you had a feeling things were going to pop off, and they did. A few moments after this image, we were getting pepper sprayed and pushed back, and it became a battle.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've been around situations in my lifetime as a photojournalist, and I have to tell you, they are really, really hairy and scary. And, you have to have eyes wide open and ears to the ground, as they say, ready for anything. I mean, what the photographers that documented everything at the Capitol on January 6th, wow, what a job they did. And they're all heroes in my opinion, because they documented things so nothing can be thought of as being fake news.
Yeah.
So anyway, don't get me started on that one. So, but the bottom line is that this is an incredible thing for you guys too, to be part of such a historical exhibition at the Brooklyn Museum. I love Brooklyn personally. I almost moved there years ago. I don't know why I didn't. I love Brooklyn, and it's one of the greatest boroughs. And this photo here, though, we talked about how many photos we could put in this show tonight, but I had to pick this one and add it in to the others that we thought about and curated, because this is as powerful as it gets.
Yeah. That is from the George Floyd Memorial at Kaplan Plaza. I think it was at the beginning of June last year, where actually one of the people that we have been following as volunteering, Amber Adler, she was invited as a speaker, and because she's working with Black communities, even though she's Orthodox Jewish, as she's supposed to not like Black people. So this was incredible.
Yeah, no, well, the light at that time of the day, and her stance and everything else, of course, major historical importance there. I tell you, that whole, okay, Edward says, all the hate and division in a sea of anger, and our flag rises above. Amazing image. He's talking once again about the previous photo where the forces were clashing there. Body language, if liberty, Judy like the statue. Edward's a poet, man. And an incredible guy.
Yeah.
An amazing guest and a fan of this show. So thank you, Edward. Why don't we just stop for 1 second? Do we have any other comments that we want to bring up from anybody? Okay, we just want to make sure we've got a flood of stuff, but we're going to move on here because we want to make sure we get to everything. And then of course there's the moments of just pure violence and also the pandemonium of what's going on and the overuse of many things, including pepper spray, time and time again at a lot of these rallies and other things. This poor young man obviously got struck by pepper spray, and
it's actually a woman, and she was.
Oh, sorry.
No. It's this was an interesting image because it was intentionally taken in a way that the person couldn't be identified.
Mm-hmm.
We had concern about sharing some of these images just because surveillance and you just got to be ethical and responsible. And I don't know. I wouldn't want to feel like I played any part in helping identify someone that could be targeted. So this felt like it was abstract enough though that you couldn't really make out the person, but
no, I couldn't.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it was terrible. I mean, she was like rose back. She must have just got hit with some stray. She wasn't anywhere near the action. She just got nailed. You know, it was
Right. So did you, when you were at all these rallies, were you taking precautions yourself, I hope?
not really.
No.
Like I should have. I mean, looking back on it, I didn't. I don't know. It's Bay Ridge, and it's always felt like a safe place, so I didn't anticipate how wild it could get.
Well, we
Yeah, I
got
heard some of those. I heard some of those clashes were pretty intense.
Yeah, they were pretty intense, and like, you know, it was what made it more intense was that just like, you know, at least what I was observing was the All Lives Matter seemed to be getting away with a lot more violence towards. So it's like I literally watched someone get their nose broken right in front of me, and the cops separated them, and then let the guy that hit the Black Lives Matter supporter go away. You know, he just broke a guy's nose. You know, and then a woman like this 3 rows back, and she gets pepper sprayed, and no one goes to help her except for the. So, you know, it was upsetting in a lot of ways, but, you know, I didn't go to many more after that because, truthfully, I have a 7-year-old son. Like
Yeah, exactly.
I don't. I was thinking about that at a certain point. Like, is this really someplace that I should be all the time?
yeah.
Well, you know, you go through all that, and we could have shown dozens more photos, and people will visit your website and check out your work. I know they will, because you should, folks. Everybody, we're streaming this on every channel. YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and both of Anna and Jordan's Facebook pages tonight. So it's everywhere to be found, but please check out their other work too. But let's wrap it with 2 beautiful photos here. One of my pick at the end, and this one too, which was a pick of mine, because this photo should go everywhere and be on every wall in every museum or institution dealing with anything, dealing with race relations and dealing with the craziness that we've been going through in this generation right now. And hopefully we'll be making more progress right now. But tell us about this. What a moment, man.
So yeah, this is again, that's Shmuel and his friend Ray. And it was again at the Kaplan Plaza George Floyd Memorial last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I just
and they're both volunteers that we followed in our
Yes.
project. So we met them first through our volunteer project.
Right.
And for me, that symbolizes kids, because we have a 7-year-old, and I see that he just doesn't care. He doesn't care what the kid looks like.
No.
He cares if the kid is nice to him and they're going to play together and I don't know, share ice cream.
Yeah.
But they just don't care. And I like that. That's the image. It's like, I don't care. He's my friend. So what?
Yeah.
Well,
Well, like we talked about that earlier in the day when we were prepping for the show, all of us, right? What did we say to each other? Kids aren't born with hate in their heart, you know?
Yeah.
They're taught that. They're and observing all the craziness sometimes when the guidance isn't given, but they're not born that way. They're not brought to the face of this earth that way, you know?
Yeah.
So just beautiful moment. And this is in the exhibition too, correct?
This one is collected, but this was actually in ICP's.
That's
ICP
right.
Earned, and this one actually has made the rounds a bit. It was Ad Council featured it in a campaign about race.
Right.
Simon Wiesenthal Center for Tolerance is going to have it for 10 years there.
Okay.
Yeah, so, and it was published in a lot of newspaper.
Wow, what a wonderful, what is out of all the work you've done, is this the first time that you've had so many pieces collected from all of the work that you've done?
Oh yeah. This single image is going to like be on our gravestone or something. Like, it's like people just always reaching out to us.
You know what? If there's an image to remember you two by, then let it be this, because you know what? Let this be the future right here, right?
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
Let this be the future, and I hope it goes everywhere and stays ingrained in everyone's memory. But we're going to move to the last image here, and it's my pick because both of them were my pick. There was a tie, but this one here, I wanted to go out on a total joyful note. Nothing about race relations, nothing about anything. This is just what a cutie, man. Tell us about this moment, because I fell in love with this photo.
Yeah, we just saw them. We were covering some festival and doing portraits, and in Brooklyn, and it was just a moment that just was absolutely. I mean, not just a moment. They were dancing for like 3 minutes or something. And like,
Right.
she was incredible. And he was really amused by her because like, I don't know how old she is, but she
Probably
looks
like
like
three.
3 or 4r, and she had some
Right.
moves. I mean, she could
Oh
dance.
my God.
Amazing.
She was much better than
You know
me.
what? She's so cute.
Well,
I'm gonna mute it because I don't want to get stripped down by Facebook in case they decide to do that. But let me see. I had it here because you guys have to see this. It's absolutely the cutest thing in the world. Here it is. So let me load it here.
Cute.
Doesn't have. Okay, that's interesting. It's not letting me load it now all of a sudden. How about that?
So we're gonna go out on the bench.
No, I'm gonna try something else because it's so worth seeing. I'll give it an extra minute here to try it. Let's see here. It's worth it, folks. Hang on. Hang on. Let's see.
You could dance.
Yeah, I know. It's not. I don't know why. Let's try it one more time here. Okay. Yep. No, it won't let me load it. Oh well. Sorry, I tried.
No, it's good. You got you wanting more. I like that.
A little. I think these tech gods are telling me it's time to wrap it up. But I wanted to thank everybody, and I mean everybody, for being here and everything. I wanted to also take a quick second right now to basically acknowledge one of the sponsor of my show. Folks, I wouldn't be able to do all this. Huh?
You caught me off guard. I didn't know it was going to cut so quick.
Oh, sorry.
It's like,
It comes off fast. I should have warned you. But, I wouldn't be able to do these types of incredible broadcasts with all this different technology and videos and photos and banners and tickers without StreamYard. Dan Engage, the founders, created a wonderful tool here that I love to use. And we had lots of engagement tonight. Do we have any closing remarks, Jonathan, from anyone? Nope. Okay, well, everybody's been watching so intently. But we're going to bring Jonathan on for a second. And I always give credit where credit's due. Jonathan, my fabulous co-producer, Jonathan Borstein. You have a few words for us, Jonathan, in parting moments?
Wonderful program. Also, I'm going to add my voice on the importance of early detection and proper treatment of breast cancer. Both my mother and my sister were and are breast cancer survivors.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Okay.
Thank you.
And on that note, also, I want to add, I have a very dear friend of mine, Tim McDonald, who's been very outspoken about this. He's going through stage 4, battling colon cancer and liver cancer. And we wish Tim all the best. He's always in our hearts. He's a very dear friend of our community and the social media community. And please also get checked for colon cancer and anything else that needs to be checked, folks. Do not take things for granted. Take care of yourselves and be well with each other. Jonathan, thank you for coming on, and thank you for always driving the car behind the scenes, because without you, all the information that needs to be displayed, I wouldn't be able to do it all without you. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you both so much.
Thank you.
This was really
All right.
fun.
But Anna and Jordan, I hope I did you justice tonight. I hope that
Yeah.
I hope it was a great hour. I can't thank you enough for all the community service you've done with your work and just being the wonderful, wonderful human beings that you are. So everybody, please send Anna and Jordan your best wishes for continued health and great work with their photography, along with their son and their family. And why don't you guys hang on for a minute? I'm going to wrap everything up, and then I'm going to talk to you behind the scenes, okay?
Mhm.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, actually, any parting words for everybody? I wanted to leave the last word with you that way.
We wanted to thank you for having us here and just making amazing show.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, it's a pleasure. It does my heart good to be able to do this. We're now doing it once a month, sometimes twice. But we're still here and we're going strong. And thanks to photographers like you. We'll have a new guest soon. I'll be right with you, Anna and Jordan. We'll have a new guest soon on the Spin It Social Hour. I'm working a great one up next. And we'll be back in about 3 or 4 weeks with another great show. But in the meantime, I wanted to thank everybody for tuning in. Once again, my name is Stefan Kaplan. I'm a social media and visual strategist and the founder and creator of the Spin It Social Hour, and now a full-time live stream producer too for the likes of Martin Lindstrom and Marshall Goldsmith. So thank you everybody for being here. Thank you for all you do for being part of this photo community. Be well, and we will catch up soon on the next Spin It Social Hour. Take care, everybody.